Hey y'all, it's Tasha. I am back with another video. Thank you so much for stopping into my channel. Back with another Married at First Sight review. This is, of course, season 11, episode 7 that we saw this week. The honeymoon is over. And looks like the honeymoon may be over for some people. Woo! Let's jump right into the episode this week and talk about what went down. Okay, so this week, I remember I mentioned last week if you guys had a preference of me running through couple by couple or kind of just summarizing based on how the show ran. So this week I decided to try it a little bit different and not do it couple by couple, but actually how they showed the scenes in the show this week. So we'll see how this goes. It was a little bit easier taking notes doing it this way, not gonna lie. But we'll see how this goes and how you guys like it. But let's jump right in. So this week we see the couples have traveled back from their honeymoon back to New Orleans, and they are able to see their new apartments that they'll be living in together. And then also they go tour each other's houses so they can see how they, we're living. And this is something that Married at First Sight has just started doing within the past, I would say 2 or 3 seasons or so, if it's even been that many, of the couples moving into a place that's all in the same building all together like this. They didn't do that in the past when the show first started airing very early on in those seasons, but they have since started doing that. And I mean, it's cool. I like it. Whatever. But anyway, let's jump into the episode. So we see first Amelia and Bennett coming into their new apartment. They just get so excited over everything. They're excited about kitchens, countertops, closets that echo. I mean, just the smallest thing. They're just like, how cool. Look at that. Neat. And it's just simple things in life, but they appreciate everything. But they just continue to look like they are straight out of an 80s or 90s sitcom. I mean, am I the only one that they just continue? Bennett's walking around with, collar shirts and sweaters and shorts. Amelia's walking around with acid wash pants and, tie-dyed or really bright colored shirts, giving me real Cosby Show, Saved by the Bellish, Blossom, giving me all those teas, okay? So it's just so funny how on the same wavelength they are, even in their fashions. So funny. Bennett, we see him back in his dress, and he's just so excited to be moving in with his wife. And we see them touring the apartment, and then they realize they have 2 bathrooms, and they sit there and they're like, oh, so should we do, one bathroom for actually using the bathroom and the other bathroom for hygiene? And I'm like, a bathroom is a bathroom. Just use the bathroom. Does not matter if you need to go pee, poop, or shower or brush your teeth. Use the bathroom. It's not that serious. But it was so funny trying to, watching them actually negotiate through that. I'm like, we're talking about a bathroom, people. A bathroom, which is so funny because then later on in the episode, we see that Bennett lives in a tiny house that has no bathroom. So you would think he would not know how to act with 2 bathrooms at his disposal, okay? Anywho, after them, we see Miles and Karen. Karen is still talking about this age difference. I wish she would just give it a rest. Just because you keep talking about it, it's not going to magically make him be 5 years older, 10 years older, 1 year older. It's not going to happen. It is what it is, Karen. If you can't get past that, then you might as well just leave now, because his age is something we cannot change, honey. He was born when he was born, and that's all there is to it. So if she can't get past that, I either wish she would just go ahead and go, or at least quit talking about it, because I'm tired of hearing it already. She just seems to act, her attitude and her behavior, to me, it just seems like I don't know if she does it on purpose, where she acts, tries to act really mature so that anything that he does looks super childish. And it's like she almost acts or pretends as if she's babysitting. He's a grown man too. Just because he's younger than you does not mean he is not a grown man, okay? All right, Christina and Henry, we see them walking into their apartment. and her just still having this hang up of him just not being, basically falling all over her. That's what she's used to, and that's what she wants. She wants a man that just fawns all over her, tells her that she's beautiful, wants to be near her, wants to touch her, wants to kiss her, wants to just give her, everything, the shirt off his back. That's what she is looking for. And she just, I don't think she gets that Henry is not that guy. Like, just because you keep saying it over and over again does not mean, oh, he's going to get the hint and then he's going to finally do what I want him to do. No, just his demeanor, his behavior, how he is, it just seems like he's just not the type of guy that, where some guys may catch on to that and may say, okay, hey, this is kind of her love language. This is what she wants me to do. Henry ain't that guy. He's just not going to do it. Just get over it. Or again, like Karen, leave. But she continues to act snotty and snobby with attitude. They walk through their apartment and she's just like, don't like that, don't like this, need to rearrange this and take that out. And I'm just like, girl, you are exhausting. Okay, exhausting. We see Olivia and Brent go to their apartment and they immediately, of course, start talking about their cats. And then we see Amani and Woody tour their apartment. So then we see all the couples wake up the next morning after their first night in their apartment. Bennett and Amelia, they wake up talking about their dreams. So stinking cute. Why is everything that they do so cute? I mean, it's corny, but it's so cute because it's them. It's like, I think if anybody else were to do the things they did, I would look at them like, why are you talking about this? Why are you doing this? Why are you acting like this? But because it's them, it's everything is just like, oh, y'all talking about y'all dreams and stuff. And then we see Bennett. At one point, we saw him in one frame. We saw him in the dress, and then the next frame, when they're waking up, he's waking up with literally a shirt that looks like it's probably as old as I am, with holes everywhere, it's stretched everywhere. I'm like, what happened? While she wakes up in like a fleece onesie. I'm just, oh, gotta love those two. So cute. We see Olivia and Brent go visit her house. They just seem to, as of late, it seems like that last night of the honeymoon, or like the last couple nights, whenever they met with all the other couples, since then, it's just been, something's been off between the two of them. It's like, she wants to find fault in maybe what he likes and what he wants to do. He wants to find fault in what she likes to do and what she wants to do. It's just like, this is not a tit for tat situation of, oh, because you say you love that, I'm going to say I hate it. You hate that? Oh, I absolutely adore it. It's like, I don't know what's up with them, but I'm getting that vibe because he goes to her house and he's just, kind of just walking around looking at how antique everything looks, and he's like, oh, it's very clean. To say she has cats, it's almost a little bit sterile. She's renting, and I just look at renting as just, throwing money away, as if he's been a homeowner his entire life. Like, at some point you rented as well. And if she prefers to rent, because home ownership, it's a big deal. It's a lot that entails owning a home and taking care of that. If someone prefers to rent, yes, it will never be theirs. But if they want that life of, when something goes wrong, I just have to call somebody to fix it, and that's what they prefer, no judgment, leave it alone. But he's just so judgmental in how she decides to live her life. It's getting to be very annoying. So we also see that Amelia and Bennett, they go to her house, which is a huge house that she shares. She says right now she shared it with 4 roommates, but sometimes they can have more, which I'm just like, ooh, that's a lot, living with a lot of people, and that ain't my cup of tea. But it's cool. Bennett says that he's a little intimidated because it seems like that she's a little bit more stable in that sense of having that space and kind of, knowing where she's going, knowing what she wants to do, and he kind of felt a little bit intimidated by that. And it's different than what he does, because he then shows us that he lives in a tiny house. And it's a tiny house. Like, it's so cute that he built it. Like, that's very impressive for him to build something like that. But he said that he had to go for a kitchen and bathroom. He had to go to the house. I guess it's like, I don't know if the house is a relative's house, somebody he knows, or just somebody that allowed him to rent back there. I don't know. But he just was like, kind of, no, I go over there for, you know, the bathroom and kitchen. I'm just like, like, you too grown for that. But again, so cute that he actually built it all. Amelia, of course, no judgment with him. She was so excited to see his place, absolutely loved it. It made her like him even more, that she could see, you know, he actually took the time to, you know, build that himself. She loved that he was about to wear that silly old hat at the wedding. She was like, oh, I would have loved it. So it's like, they can do no wrong. When the one person thinks that, oh God, this is going to be embarrassing, and the other person is going to, you know, have something to say, the other person's just like, oh, I just love it even more. I just love you so much. This is so awesome. I love it. So they can do no wrong. But I just want to give Bennett like a little makeover. He's a super cute little guy. But Lord, I just want to see how he looks like all put together, and that not necessarily in a suit and tie, but just, you know, even in relaxed casual clothes, you know, jeans and a t-shirt, some khakis and a polo, you know, just something like that. Just to make him look a little bit more put together sometimes. But woo, anyway, then we see Olivia then go to Brent's house, and she's oddly enough acting kind of the same way that he was acting at her house, but he then took offense to how she was acting towards his house, because I guess he had sacrificed so much, saved so much, and just took so much pride in being able to purchase a home, which is a big feat and it is great. But again, you can't expect somebody to have those same type of feelings, because maybe she doesn't put that same value on a house as you did. So you can't fault her for it. But I just found it funny that he kind of had the same nonchalant, negative attitude toward her house, but then when she had it towards his, he got all his feelings once again and started having an attitude. He's getting on my nerves with that. And then after that, we see that Pastor Cal is starting to make his rounds with the couples. So we first see him visit Woody and Amani to see how they're developing. He did ask Woody, you know, what makes her attractive to you? And he was like, of course, you know, she's beautiful. So I was initially physically attracted to her, but her honesty also makes her very attractive, in that, you know, she can tell me anything. I'm not afraid of what she's going to say. So I thought that was cute, but I want him to definitely keep that same energy as their marriage grows, because I don't want you catching no attitudes when she goes to tell you something. It's honest, but you don't like it. Don't get mad at her because you said you loved her for it. So I just want him to keep that same energy. Pastor Cal did ask if they had been intimate, and they did share, yes, that they have. And then he asked if they had used protection. And I was like, Pastor Cal, you getting a little personal. But I was shocked to hear them say, not every time. I'm like, well, how many times have y'all gotten it in and they told us nothing? But they said they hadn't used it every time. After they discussed it, it kind of implied that it's maybe only been one or two times, that maybe it's been a slip up, that they have not used protection. I hope the show actually tests everybody before them entering into the marriage, and actually shares test results with their spouse, so that hopefully there is no issues with, you know, sexually transmitted diseases. Yes, we know pregnancy is there, but also, you know, don't want nothing that I could potentially also have for the rest of my life. Okay, so I don't know if they do that, but I hope they do. But of course, Pastor Cal was like, you know, being careful and all that stuff. Woody shares that he wanted a honeymoon baby, and Amani kind of looks at him. She was like, yeah, he really kept talking about that. And she was like, I want no parts of it. Like, Woody, no, it'll be different if y'all had dated for years and then finally got married and you're kind of just waiting to have a baby until you got married. Sure, go make your honeymoon baby. But, you know, y'all just met. We don't want to bring a baby into the mix after you've known each other for about 5 days. Pump your brakes. Y'all have time. It's okay. We finally see them have their first small disagreement when it came to her talking about, them discussing things together before making decisions. And they kind of threw out the example of, her cutting her hair. And he was like, no, I wouldn't want her to do that without, talking to me first. And she kind of, took a step back, and I did the same thing. Like, who do you think you are that she has to come to you about something dealing with her body in that fashion of cutting her hair, that she has to come and talk to you first? And she kind of took it that way as well of, I don't need your permission. Like, I'm still me, and I don't need your permission. If I wanted to go out to cut my hair and I was feeling like that, I would go and cut my hair. I don't need you to give me the okay for it. And he tries to compare that to, oh, well, what if I just went to my job one day and just decided I didn't want to work here no more, and then I just walked off my job without talking to you first and just went ahead and did it? And she's like, that's a little bit different. You're talking about something that really affects our livelihood versus me talking about hair, in which I completely agree with her. Apples and oranges. Like, that is not the same thing. We're talking about hair that will grow back, or she can throw a wig on if you're that upset about it, versus you walking off your job, which is messing with our livelihood and how we eat, live, and everything else. Two different things, Woody. So Pastor Cal really let them talk it out, and then eventually Woody kind of tells us where this feeling is coming from. It seems to be that one of his exes had an abortion without him having a say-so in it. So that's why he feels as though, not necessarily getting permission, but he would like for them to discuss those kind of things before she went ahead and kind of jumped the gun with whatever changes she wanted to make. And I was like, well, okay, but you should have kind of made that clear a little bit early on and not make such a big deal about her hair, because it started coming off as if you only cared about how she looked physically and not really worrying about how connected you are with her in the inside. And that was kind of where I was giving him the side eye of like, no, you just told us that you're really attracted to her honesty. And then when it comes to, if I cut my hair and you're not attracted to me anymore, it's going to be a problem. Like, which is it, Woody? So I was able to, understand where he was coming from. But again, he kind of took it to the extreme, because an abortion is such a huge deal not to discuss with the person that you were impregnated by, versus getting a haircut. I think just the situations were just so different, and he tried to compare them. But anyway, they seem to work it out and discuss it with each other. But definitely a mental note to make. And I'm pretty sure Amani's going to tuck it back in her memory of, all right, I got to work on that. But we'll see. After that, we see Karen and Miles go to Miles' apartment. He's a bit messy. She's shocked by his shoe collection. And then we see Henry and Christina go to his apartment. Of course, she is not impressed, not one bit. He has a little studio apartment, has a tiny, tiny kitchen with literally no food in it. And she, again, is, Miss Sassy Diva of, this how you live. Okay. And then after they get outside, I'm about to leave from Henry's place, he's like, oh, so I guess we'll go ahead and go to your place. And then she kind of stops him, and she's like, oh, well, I have, most of my stuff in my car already. So, we're good. And I kind of have still some stuff in California. And it was just very awkward as to what is going on. Do you truly live here in New Orleans? I can't remember if she had just moved here, if they said any of that. I know, of course, she travels a lot being a flight attendant, but it was just weird that they would not go to her place when they go to everybody else's places. And she just kind of was like, nope, well, got my stuff in my car, no need to go, we're good. So I don't know if she doesn't have a place, didn't want her place to be on camera, didn't want to show Henry. I don't know. Thought that was a bit weird though. So what else? Once we see Miles and Karen go back to her apartment, we see how she is and her showing him around. I get so aggravated by Karen because I feel like Miles is, of course, trying to be patient with her. I also feel like he is trying to be goofy at times just to break out the uncomfortableness and the thick air that's between them, and just trying to break the ice with them. And I feel like she just doesn't receive it at all. You know, he's like being goofy of like, oh, check out your kitchen and look at that backsplash. And he's trying to just like liven things up a little bit. And she's just kind of like, don't do that. Like her attitude is just always like, cut it out, stop. No, I don't want to. And I'm just like, Karen, can you just loosen up, honey? Loosen up, loosen up, loosen up. Because he didn't go. They go to her bedroom and she's showing him around and he's just like, I'm just gonna be looking at stuff, and he's just picking up things, asking her questions about it. Picked up a little one-piece leotard out of her dresser and was kind of looking at her like that, and she was just like, she can't just let her hair down and laugh just a little bit without feeling so uptight all the time. I just want her to let it go. I feel like I'm gonna keep saying that every time it comes to her. Just let it go. Let it go. Yes, let it go. We see Olivia and Brent get their visit from Pastor Cal, and they're able to discuss if the vision of marriage has changed for them. They discuss intimacy a bit, and they keep it very surface level with Pastor Cal, since we already know they don't want to discuss sex and all that with everybody else. So we like, whatever. And then she, of course, we know that she likes to travel, she likes to eat out, she likes to find her things in life. We already know Brett is a little bit more frugal than when it with her than her when it comes to shopping, having nice things, trips, all that stuff. So she stated that she wanted to travel, but because of his income, she's a little bit afraid that she won't be able to do that. And the example she uses, she's like, oh, I like to go to the Saints game, and, you know, not being able to afford that kind of scares me a little bit because it's something that I enjoy doing. And then Brent kind of looks at her and he's like, well, you can still go to the Saints game. Like, I'm not stopping you from going. And she's like, oh, well, I want to go with you. And he's like, well, that's fine if you want to, you know, foot the bill. And she's like, no. I mean, she was like, no, I ain't footing the bill. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't know how this finance thing is going to work between them, because it seems like it's more of, you know, my money is my money, your money is your money. If we go into the Saints game, I'm gonna buy the ticket, and then I'm gonna be like, your ticket was $90, you need to give me that ticket money back. So I was like, that's weird, but it kind of course caused some tension. So I do get where they're both coming from. I mean, they come from two opposite ends of the spectrum of, you know, her making pretty good money with her job, and, you know, being by herself and being able to enjoy what she considers the finer things in life, and then him having a job that doesn't pay so much, but he really appreciating the things that he can get and can do, and really taking pride in what he's able to save and, you know, have maybe for his retirement. So neither one of them are wrong, but they have to find some sort of medium if they're going to be together. I mean, you just can't continue to think like that without some sort of compromise if you plan on being together. So I feel like that, I don't know if they went that deep into finances during the, you know, interviews and while they were screening candidates, but it seems like he really needs, or should have asked for, maybe a frugal wife and then she should have asked for somebody that, you know, has a big salary so that she can enjoy the things that she likes to do. Because with Brent, because of course they didn't share their salaries publicly, of course I don't expect them to know what they make, but Brent, he gives off the vibe as if any little thing that he does that's not in the budget is gonna break him. Like, he's like, oh, one of those trips a year is gonna, you know, put his retirement in jeopardy or something along those lines. And I'm like, dude, if it's that serious, then maybe you also can look into, you know, other careers and doing something that maybe makes you more money, or actually setting aside a travel budget if you never had to do that, because it's not something you do, but maybe it's something you need to incorporate into your budget now of travel, since you have a wife that loves to travel. It just, I don't know. I mean, these two are already on the fence for me, and it's just like, it just keeps getting worse as they talk and get to know each other. But I don't like that. Like, I understand about budgeting and saving. Yes, I know you have to, but life is also about living. You don't just work just to work. You also work to enjoy the fruits of your labor and have a good time with life. So y'all got to figure it out. Finances is huge in marriage, and it's one of the things that causes divorces. So if y'all don't figure it out now, it's no hope. um, we then see Imani and Woody go to visit his house where he lives with his grandma. He said, Grandma cool with the ladies coming over. I was a little nervous about that, but Grandma cool. And then I thought it was so cute that his grandma had a bag of food waiting for them at the house that they could take home with them to eat. I'm like, she is such a grandma. I absolutely love it. Henry and Christina, we see them get a visit from Pastor Cal. You can see that he starts the twitching again that we saw very heavily when they were at the ceremony and got married. So I truly feel like it is some sort of medical condition with him. I can see where it looks like he's trying to stop it from happening, and that's why I feel like he kind of shifts back a lot to kind of make the twitching blend in with him shifting, or he looks up a lot or blinks a lot to try to maybe counteract the twitching with blinking. I don't know, but I saw it come back once Pastor Cal came to visit them. I don't know if it was the nervousness all over again, started taking over, but I saw it again. So I'm curious as to if they're going to address this, because I know she sees it because she pays attention to everything. So I know she sees it. So I'm curious as to if they're going to show and address what that is with him. I don't know. But they talk about, the marriage and how things are going. She continues to harp on how, he just doesn't says that she's beautiful and she's just used to somebody gushing all over her. And again, we're tired of hearing it, Christina. We're over it. I put in my notes, I said, maybe he doesn't think you're that cute. Maybe that's why he won't say it. I don't know. But he finally did say that he feels more of a friendship vibe from her. And Pastor Cal kind of asked, well, why do you see that? And I think it's because maybe what she gives off is not what he envisions having in a life partner. Because he mentioned her being high maintenance and impatient. And I think those are characteristics that he would not want or would not foresee being in a spouse, because he does not like those characteristics. So I think that's why he's kind of friend zoning her, but I can't blame him, because what we've seen so far, we've seen just that, her being impatient and her being high maintenance. Pastor Cal mentioned that, when she's a little bit of a diva and has a little bit of sass, but maybe that's a good thing for your quiet sides, for her to kind of have that and bring it out, which I do agree to an extent, because I think some people need the person that is opposite of them to actually kind of bring that out of them. But I just don't see Henry being that person. And I don't think you should change who you are at the core to fall in love or be married with somebody. Changing things such as, yes, I'm used to doing laundry once a week, but now you want me to do it twice a week. Okay, cool. I don't really like hockey, but you like to go to hockey games. I can do that. Cool. You like plays? I can go to plays every now and then. Cool. Those are things that you can really, of course, compromise on in a marriage, but really kind of forcing him, per se, to be somebody that he just innately is not. I don't agree with that. So we'll see how they tend to work out. But again, I don't think they're going to make it. We see Pastor Cal visit Amelia and Bennett, and they were able to share how their wedding and honeymoon went. They just meshed so well with each other. They're just so comfortable. They think beyond what society says, they're supposed to look like, just them, how they look in general. I would never think she's a doctor, but again, they're just not into those conventional ways of thinking. She would love to bring home the bacon while he sits home with the kids, and he's like, I'm totally cool with that. I can write, do music. If I'm at the park making dinner for kids, I'm fine with that. I'm cool. So it's like they just mesh very well together. I absolutely love them. The biggest issue that I think, of course, that we see from them is probably going to be the potential of her moving for her residency. I think the universe is going to work it all out for them, and she's not going to have to move. She's going to get a residency in New Orleans. I just feel it, that's not going to be a barrier that they have to come across. And I think, Bennett already is a little bit heads over heels for her. So I think once he falls in love with her, he's going to be like, where you want me to move? Alaska? Okay, I'll pack. He's just going to be all over it. So I think that's going to be the biggest issue per se for them. And then after that, they'll be just fine. Lastly, we see Pastor Cal visit Miles and Karen. Karen. We know y'all are strangers, baby. We don't have to hear it every episode. We know. And I think that's why Pastor Cal kept saying, you're not strangers, you're married. Yeah, we get it, but they're still kind of strangers, but we just don't need to hear it every episode, every 5 minutes, okay? When asked, how affection and things are going with them, she says that, the affection feels weird because, somebody coming up to maybe kiss her in the cheek or hug her from behind, try to hold her hand, feels awkward to her. She's not used to, PDA, and she's trying to get used to it. I don't see her trying to get used to it. I see her pushing it away and avoiding it. All right, but maybe she is trying. I don't know. And then we see her really get a little bit deeper with, why she is really guarded and feels a kind of way. And of course, it is related to her ex. I knew that from the moment she said that her ex had cheated on her and had a baby, and she thought that was going to be the person that she married. She is still harboring that baggage from that relationship, which I know it's hard to get over. I've been hurt in a relationship before personally myself, so I know what kind of inner workings you need to deal with yourself to try to get over that. But I really think she needs to do the personal work herself to move past that, because she is really making Miles pay for the mistake that he did not make, and that's not fair for Miles. I'm not saying that Miles is so great and he's perfect, because we only see what he's showing us, which he may be, he may not be, I don't know. But she is coming off as if this last relationship hurt her so much, and now she has all her guards up, and Miles is having to pay for that man's mistakes, which I don't agree with, and that is not fair. So Karen needs to do some work, rather that go to therapy, do some counseling on her own. I don't know, but she needs to really check herself on that. And then also, I really want Miles to do some work on himself. That it seems like his happiness is based off her happiness, that if she's happy, I'm straight. But I really need him to be more vocal to identify the things that he needs that makes him happy. And I'm happy that Pastor Cal pointed that out of, so if you never have sex, will you be happy? And he's like, no. It's like, well, I need you to express that. Like, your happiness can't be based on, as long as she happy, I'm straight. No, you need your own happiness, and she needs to do things that make you happy and fulfilled as well, especially since you've been diagnosed with depression. If she gets down in the dumps, are you then going to be down, and then you're down in a spiral and it just goes downhill from there? Might need to check on that. So, but that was it. I'm sorry this video is so long, but there was a lot to unpack this week with Pastor Cal visiting all the couples. But that's the gist of it. What do y'all think? How did you feel about how this episode went? Your feelings changed about any of the couples? I can't wait till next week. Looks like we're going to get a little bit more drama popping off. We actually, looks like we finally see Miles and Karen kiss on the lips. Say what? We finally see them kiss. Looks like they're playing Truth or Dare or something. Whatever it is, thank God y'all finally kiss. And then it looks like Henry finally maybe has enough of Christina already. We'll see, because it looks like, he walks out and he's sick of the BS. But we will see what happens next week, or if they're just, playing it up for the cameras, for the previews for us, because Married at First Sight is great at doing that. But we'll see what happens. I will catch y'all in the next video next week. Thanks for watching. Peace.